My husband had a wish. He didn't say it all at once. Not directly. It came out slowly, over time, hidden between casual comments and late-night conversations that felt heavier than they should have. It started with curiosity. With questions he asked too carefully. What I wanted. What I thought about desire. Whether I believed love and possession were the same thing. I laughed most of it off at first. I thought it was just talk the kind couples fall into when routine settles too deeply. But one night, after too much silence and not enough honesty, he finally said it. He told me there was something he had been imagining for a long time. Something that both excited him and terrified him. Something he didn't know how to ask for without sounding like he was risking everything we had built. I remember the way his hands trembled slightly when he spoke. The way he wouldn't quite meet my eyes. I want you to want something you've never allowed yourself to want, he said quietly. The room felt smaller after that. I asked him what he meant, even though part of me already knew. He explained slowly, carefully, as if choosing the wrong word might break me. He talked about trust. About honesty. About fantasies that live in the dark not because they are shameful, but because they are dangerous to admit. When he finished, there was a long silence. I could hear my own heartbeat. My mind raced ahead, imagining consequences before I even understood the desire itself. I told him I needed time. For days I carried his words with me. They followed me into the shower, into work, into bed. I examined myself with a kind of honesty I had avoided for years. I asked questions I didn't know I was brave enough to ask. Was my resistance fear? Or conditioning? Was my loyalty rooted in love? Or habit? Was I saying no because I truly wanted to? Or because I had never been taught how to say yes? There was another truth I couldn't ignore. Something quieter. Something older. A part of me that had always wondered what it would feel like to be seen differently. Desired differently. Chosen without expectation. When I finally spoke again, my voice surprised me. I took a deep breath and said yes. The word felt heavier than I expected. Not freeing. Not damning. Just honest. My husband didn't smile. Not at first. He looked at me as if he was afraid I might change my mind if he moved too quickly. He asked if I was sure. Asked again. And again. Each time I answered the same. We made rules. Boundaries. Promises that this was about trust, not escape. About curiosity, not replacement. I believed that. I needed to. The first time it happened, nothing dramatic occurred. No thunder. No sudden fall into chaos. Just a meeting. A conversation that lingered longer than necessary. A presence that felt unfamiliar in the most unsettling way. He was someone we both knew. Not close but not distant either. Someone who had always been polite, attentive, careful with his words. I noticed things about him that night I had never allowed myself to notice before. The way he listened without interrupting. The way his gaze held meaning without demand. I told myself it was harmless. But desire doesn't announce itself loudly. It grows in the quiet. In the space between words. In the moments where you realize you are thinking about someone when you shouldn't be. Each interaction became heavier. I felt myself splitting in two. One part of me loyal, grounded, anchored by my marriage. The other curious, awake, hungry for something unnamed. My husband watched all of it. Not with jealousy but with something darker. Something that unsettled me even as it made my skin warm. He asked how I felt after every encounter. What I noticed. What I didn't say out loud. I told him the truth. Or at least the version of it I could handle. The line was crossed on an ordinary afternoon. No wine. No music. Just conversation that slipped into silence too easily. He stood too close. I didn't move away. When his hand brushed mine, neither of us apologized. The kiss was not desperate. It was slow. Careful. Almost respectful. That made it far more dangerous than passion ever could be. I went home shaking. My husband listened as I spoke, his eyes never leaving mine. When I finished, he nodded once. And how did it make you feel? He asked. I searched for the right word. Awake, I said. That night, I lay beside my husband and stared at the ceiling. I felt full of contradictions. Guilt and excitement twisted together until I couldn't separate them. I had done exactly what he asked. Exactly what we agreed on. So why did it feel like something irreversible had begun? The days that followed were heavier. The world looked the same but I moved through it differently. I noticed glances. Silences. My own reflection. I felt desired in a way that wasn't owned, and it frightened me how much I responded to it. When we met again, it went further. Not rushed. Not reckless. Just inevitable. Each touch asked a question. Each response answered it. And yet, in the quiet moments afterward, I thought of my husband. Not with regret but with awareness. This was his wish. His design. His trust placed in my hands like a fragile thing. One night he asked if I wanted to stop. I realized then that the question terrified me more than continuing. No, I said softly. He smiled then. Not out of triumph. Out of recognition. As if he had always known this part of me existed and had simply given it permission to breathe. But forbidden things never stay contained forever. The more real it became, the more I felt the weight of choice pressing against my chest. Desire is intoxicating, but clarity is brutal. I began to understand that saying yes once is easy. Living with it is not. I stood at a crossroads I hadn't anticipated. One path led back to safety, familiarity, a life untouched by risk. The other led forward into something undefined, thrilling, and deeply uncertain. In the end, what haunted me most wasn't the act itself. It was the realization that my husband's wish hadn't changed me. It had revealed me. And sometimes, the most dangerous romance isn't forbidden because of who it involves, but because of what it awakens inside you once you finally say yes.